Airlines today, JetBlue announcing it will launch 30 new domestic flight locations as it begins to return to service. And then there's Delta. Delta CEO Ed Bastian says they could return to break even or even profitability sometime in the spring of next year. We spoke with Ed Bastian earlier this morning.
We've been making improvements on, but much more we knew we needed to go. And it was the pandemic that caused us to reinvent clean from the inside out. And that's what we're doing. We've established a global cleanliness organization that's going to be focused on not just on the airplanes, but the airports, the laboratories, our office buildings, our maintenance bases, and exploring every sort of place where we can to improve the cleanliness. And as a result, the safety and welfare of our own people and our customers as well. One of the things that talk about the numbers you mentioned, we've done an awful lot to improve the quality, whether it's capping the load factors, which is also part of the safety experience. So on Delta, we only board 60% of a plane. Once we get to 61%, we won't take that extra person, but we'll add another flight as we're adding flights and bigger planes into markets and growing the business back in a very disciplined way.
So let me ask you, because you brought up essentially 50,000 employees. In normal times, it would be 90,000, but you have almost 42,000 employees on voluntary leave. And I'm going to share something. I reached out to some Delta employees that I know. I won't name them, but they had very positive things to say. This was from a flight attendant, and this had to do with the pay they're getting or the benefits they're getting, not at 100%, but this person said, the flexible options of leaves offered at Delta during COVID is unmatched. For flight attendants to be paid 65 hours to be at home with pre-existing conditions who feel they are at high risk for COVID is amazing. I share that quote with you because I know you took criticism from the Flight Attendants Union, but also from senators like Elizabeth Warren, because of the use of CARES Act funds at the same time with cutting the actual hours for those who are still working. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, thank you for the comment from our flight attendant. We have almost 5,000 people out just on what we call COVID protection. We went through right when the pandemic hit, and we identified our people, particularly our people in the frontline positions like flight attendants, who have underlying conditions, who are vulnerable to the disease, and we insisted that they be out of the operation, but we pay protected them. We covered them, at 75% of their pay and told them to stay home. We don't want the spread of the illness. One of the ways by which we've been able to do this, we've reached out to our people and we've asked for volunteers on paid, not paid, but leaves of absence. And on a voluntary basis, in total, as you say, 40,000 of our people are out of their own volition. We've got an early retirement program offering going on, which I expect many thousands of people have been waiting for, are going to take us up on the opportunity to retire on an enhanced basis with some nice retiree medical benefits and travel privileges added to the retirement experience.
I would imagine, forgive me for interrupting, but I would imagine all of that is to avoid layoffs October 1st when the CARES Act guarantee expires.
We're doing everything possible, Adam, to take the money that we receive, the CARES Act financing that you talked about, to pay our people and stretch it as long as we can with the goal of saving jobs. The telltale sign will come October 1st. That's when the restrictions around furloughs will come off. And my goal at Delta is to avoid furloughs in any way we possibly can. And one of the ways, or the steps that we're taking today, will put us in a better financial position come October 1st.
Here we are in the middle of June. Where do you stand with that? I mean, is the cash burn, you had it down at the end of the first quarter, your daily cash burn below 50 million a day. Your goal is at the end of the year to essentially be zero. Where do you stand financially on getting this airline back into a positive revenue generating mode?
Well, we've done a good job there too. When the pandemic first hit, our daily cash burn was close to $100 million a day. With total cost of operation with very little revenue. And we've gone just in the 90 days post the pandemic, for the month of June, we're down to now $30 million a day. So a $70 million reduction in just 90 days. So the team's done a fabulous job. Now, a lot of that's coming on the cost line, as I talked about, through the voluntary options all our people are using and availing themselves to, as well as reducing costs anywhere we can. Our costs in the current quarter are down 55% on a year-over-year basis, just within the quarter alone. And as we start to build traffic back, so traffic, we haven't talked a lot about revenue yet, but revenue is today back about 15% of our normal customer traffic is back. It bottomed out in April at 5%. It's now at 15%. I'd expect over the next few weeks that number's going to go to 20%, and then hopefully eventually 30% by the end of the third quarter. You start to see how the revenue is climbing by staying very disciplined on cost, capping load factors, and adding flights back as demand returns.
Now, all of the airlines have warned that they're going to be smaller come October 1st. And that's a key date because that's when the CARES Act guarantee, in order to get the federal money, all of the airlines had to agree that they would not lay people off through the end of September. You heard Bastian saying his goal is to avoid any layoffs. And that program for early retirements, they started offering that to their employees, those packages, just last week.
And Adam, speaking of this sort of difficult balance, right, between having enough cash coming in that you don't want to lay people off, while at the same time being safe, right? JetBlue today said it's adding 30 new domestic flights on routes where it's seeing a pickup in demand. So as you talk to Ed Bastian, how are they trying to sort of thread that needle? Because I know they're still trying to leave those middle seats open.
I asked him, how long can you leave those middle seats open? Because you need to book those to get to the revenue picture that helps you not only break even, but eventually turn a profit. And what he said, and you heard him say it, is that seat will remain unbooked. That's 60% of the capacity on the plane will remain, is what they're boarding. But the middle seats will remain open until Delta feels that its customers feel secure flying. And that gets into the new travel things that they're doing, the cleanliness things that they're doing, everything from you can leave your air thing on, I don't know what they officially call it, but the air device above you. If you turn that on, that blows air down. And the air filters that suck air in as you're flying are actually on the floor over by the side. So push the air down, pushes particulate that may contain COVID in the air down, the coronavirus. It gets sucked into the air filtration system, and they use HEPA filters on the airplanes, which are the same HEPA filters that are used in surgical operating rooms. And the airline points out that they replace their HEPA filters 2 times faster, at a rate 2 times faster than the manufacturer recommends. That's one of the things, but they won't commit to when they'll start booking those middle seats again, Julie.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.